Mannie Fresh was born Byron O. Thomas on March 20th, 1969 in New Orleans' 7th Ward. Fresh was the son of DJ Sabu, who was one of the earliest pioneers of the New Orleans rap style known as bounce. As a child, Fresh worked at his dad's shows, and his mother, who was a teacher, also encouraged him musically from an early age. For holiday gifts, his parents bought Mannie musical instruments rather than toys, and it didn't take long before Fresh knew he wanted to pursue a career in music. By the 1980s, he started out DJing school dances in New Orleans and quickly made the transition to small local venues and house parties. As he was also DJing at local clubs and made a name for himself through his innovative use of 808 drum machines and other equipment that was still rare in bounce music. At parties, he combined the sound of the iconic Roland TR-808 drum machine with an analog keyboard to create a live performance sound. Fresh's stage name came from his father, who called him Mannie, and the popular street term for shoes in the 80s, Fresh Kicks. Fresh was influenced by his dad, DJ Sabu, Run DMC, and Slick Leo, who was a DJ in New Orleans. Slick Leo had the 606 drum machine, and he used to have it on a strap, like in a case, and would walk around on stage playing it. While still in his teens, Mannie joined the group New York Incorporated, one of the first New Orleans rap groups. The band consisted of Fresh, childhood friend Mia X, who went on to international fame with No Limit Records, DJ Wop, who was Fresh's best friend, and DJ Wop's cousin, Denny D. Denny had established the group when he was still performing as a DJ in New York before they decided to make a stab at it in New Orleans. Around that time, New Orleans had a number of DJ crews. There were crews like Jam Patrol, Rockers Revenge, New York Incorporated, the Brown Clowns, and other crews who would occasionally clash in DJ battles. It was a very competitive scene. In 1987, Mannie Fresh eventually linked up with a man named Gregory D when he was interning on a recording studio owned by Allen Toussaint. According to Mannie Fresh in one of his interviews, he did his first song with Gregory D by mistake and didn't plan it. According to Fresh, one day, there were some guys from California who were recording in this studio, and they asked Allen, the studio owner, if he knew anybody that knew how to scratch on a song. Allen then invited Mannie Fresh to do the task. Unfortunately, the guys from California were so bad that they couldn't put up anything meaningful worth to be recorded as a song until the producer gave up. Since the recording time had already been paid, the producer requested for Mannie Fresh to look for a rapper who would fill in their place and record any song than letting the money go to waste. Fresh initially tried Denny D from his New York Incorporated DJ crew, but he couldn't come because he was at work. He then called Gregory D, who came to the studio. That's when they recorded the song titled Buck Jump Time. The song was then put out through the help of a local drug dealer by the name of Brian, who had money. The song blew off in New Orleans. The duo would go on to record 3.5 albums together, but later separated due to creative differences. Fresh felt that their music was no longer representing his New Orleans roots. Afterwards, Mannie Fresh went back to his DJ roots, doing house parties and performed in clubs all over New Orleans. However, his work with Gregory D did not go unnoticed and caught the attention of CashMoney Records executives Brian Baby Williams and Ronald Slim Williams, who were still establishing themselves. At the time, CashMoney's first artist was a rapper named Kilo G. He was a gangster rapper and had released his first album, The Sleepwalker, which did not perform to expectations. Kilo's music felt out of place and could not compete with high energy and catchy bounce rap dominating New Orleans at the time. When Mannie's collaboration with Gregory D concluded, he joined forces with CashMoney in 1993. This partnership would go on to shape the trajectory of the label and leave a significant impact on the New Orleans hip-hop scene. Mannie Fresh swiftly assumed the role of CashMoney's resident producer, infusing his signature bounce style into the label's projects. This not only elevated the entire team but also established them as a dominant force in the New Orleans music scene. Mannie's unmatched work ethic shone through as he went on to produce every record released by the label for an entire decade. Despite his busy schedule at CashMoney Records, Mannie Fresh found time to work with external artists in the 90s. He discreetly provided beats to relatively obscure local acts such as Charlie Hansen and X-Mob. Mannie also collaborated with the underrated bounce rapper Cheeky Black, taking charge of the production for most of her debut EP Let Me Get That Out Ya. Within CashMoney Records, he churned out dozens of jams for the likes of UNLV, Lil Slim and Projects as Most Wanted, each notable for bringing gangsta rap elements to the party-popular bounce aesthetic. The collaboration between Mannie Fresh and UNLV proved incredibly successful, notably with UNLV's debut album Sixth and Birdman, which reportedly sold an impressive 40,000 copies. UNLV members Tech Nine, Lilia, and the charismatic Yella Boy were a perfect match for Mannie Fresh's production style. Together, they churned out local hits like Eddie Bow, featured on the Sixth and Birdman album. The group would also kick off the long-running rivalry between CashMoney and rival New Orleans hip-hop label Big Boy Records when they accused partners in crime of biting UNLV's style. In an unexpected turn of events, CashMoney's inaugural artist, Kilo G, emerged as one of the label's standout acts during its early independent era. Kilo G's second album, The Bloody City, released in 1995, showcased Mannie Fresh's evolving skills as a producer. Kilo elevated his rap game, exuding a more powerful and assertive presence as an MC. His remarkable performance, coupled with Mannie's funky production, resulted in one of the finest gangster rap albums ever produced in New Orleans. As Mannie Fresh expanded his production skills, the seasoned group UNLV reaped the rewards of his newfound versatility. Their 1996 debut album, Uptown for Life, marked a significant milestone for CashMoney as it was the label's first release to receive broader distribution, enabling the album to chart nationally. Mannie Fresh's defining sound on this record not only elevated UNLV, but also played a pivotal role in establishing CashMoney as one of the premier record labels in the industry. More importantly for the label, the superb beat Mannie Fresh made for this song would help land them the future face of CashMoney, Juvenile, who after hearing the beat to Drag Him in the River, decided he had to work with Mannie Fresh. In late 1996, CashMoney underwent a lineup overhaul, favoring younger and more marketable artists in its quest for national recognition. Tragically, Pimp Daddy, Kilo G, and UNLV's Yella Boy passed away not long after releasing their final projects. Additionally, Mr. Ivan and Lil Slim left CashMoney amid disagreements. UNLV, already facing a setback due to Yella's untimely death, eventually departed the label, derailing their momentum further. CashMoney signed a slew of new artists such as BG, Lil Wayne, and Juvenile, who already had a buzz in the streets in the mid-1990s. At this time, Turk and another local rapper by the name of Bulletproof, aka Lil Derek, Baby's nephew, joined the roster. In May 1997, Birdman organized a rap group that included Juvenile, Turk, BG, and Bulletproof. After his father's death, Lil Wayne joined the group, which became known as the Hot Boys. Shortly before the Hot Boys took off, Bulletproof was voted out the group. Juvenile came to the CashMoney roster as a bounce veteran, but it took Mannie's twist on the genre to launch him into superstardom when they put out Juvie's debut album in 1997 titled Soldier Rag. The album sold nearly 200,000 copies. CashMoney would then team Juvenile and BG with a returning Lil Wayne and newcomer Turk to form the Hot Boys. The group's debut Get It How You Live would sell an impressive 300,000 copies. This caught the attention of Universal Records, who offered Baby and Slim a $30 million distribution deal. They took the deal and got $3 million up front. CashMoney's initial release under Universal surfaced in September, unveiling a reworked edition of their album titled How You Love That Volume 2. Despite Mannie Fresh's undeniable talent in producing beats, the Big Timers had yet to solidify their identities and lacked the reputation to compensate for their below-par lyrics. Regrettably, the album failed to resonate with the mainstream audience. Nevertheless, this underwhelming beginning did little to deter the Cash Money/Universal collaboration, paving the way for future successes. Later that year, the label would strike gold with Juvenile's album 400 Degrees. In October, Cash Money earned its first national hit with Juvenile's Hot. In the progression of 1999, Cash Money demonstrated that the triumph of 400 Degrees was no accident. BG's album Chopper City in the Ghetto was released in April and achieved platinum status, further solidifying their success. In 2000, the Big Timers' album, I Got That Work, would go platinum, buoyed by the success of their singles Get Your Roll On and Number One Stunner. Unlike their first effort on Universal, Baby and Mannie Fresh had been established from their guest spots on hits like Bling Bling and I Need a Hot Girl. And while they'd never be mistaken for great rappers, the duo's charisma paired with Mannie's beats connected with listeners. As the year came to an end and 2001 approached, the first cracks in the Cash Money empire began to emerge. Juvenile, the flagship artist of CashMoney Records, left the label. BG and Turk would soon follow. Their exit meant the end of the Hot Boys, which put their third album Let 'Em Burn in limbo, though it was released in 2003. The year 2004 brought yet another end of an era, as it marked Mannie Fresh's last year with Cash Money. Fresh's bone of contention was that the label was blocking outside artists from contacting him for production opportunities. Mannie's situation stood out as the most striking, given that he was undeniably the driving force behind Cash Money's triumph. His unparalleled dedication was evident, as he meticulously crafted nearly every Cash Money release over a span of 10 years. Mannie's innovative production and artistic foresight played a pivotal role in shaping the label's identity. Although their partnership came to a bitter end, Mannie Fresh exited the scene on a high note. He took the helm for the majority of Lil Wayne's groundbreaking album The Carter, leaving an indelible mark. Additionally, he released his inaugural solo project, The Mind of Mannie Fresh, before parting ways.